What up? This is your boy DJ EFN. You might know me as a drink champ, but first and foremost, I'm a proud father. I linked up with two of my other dad homies, Manny Digital and KGB, to start the Fatherhoods podcast. Each week, we bring you insider hip-hop stories, parenting, and advice and therapy. The saying is true, it takes a village, and we humorously serve as each other's trusted counsel in figuring out how not to screw up being a good dad.
The Fatherhoods Podcast. Beats, rhymes, and diapers.
Is this our first one for the year?
No, last week.
Oh, I'm bugging. Yeah. It's today's the 9th. Okay,
Yeah.
Good morning.
Buenos dias. Arrivederci. I don't know. That's
I'm kind of like still in a bit of a haze because, maybe you don't, but freaking the alarms you set for your house, they, in my house, way too consistently false alarm. So the joint goes crazy in the middle, always in the middle of the night. And of course, you get up with your heart beating crazy.
I hate that. Yeah.
Yeah. How freaked out do your kids get?
Yo,
my kids don't wake up.
One doesn't wake up. One doesn't wake up. She's done. My oldest, my youngest, also it's hard for her to wake up. My son wakes up though. So this happens, and then my wife gets up first. I take a little bit longer. I jump out of bed. I go straight for my bat that I have near my bed, and then she and I just go down like on some police officer type shit.
Right.
Instead of guns, just holding the bat.
I could just imagine this.
But because it happens so often, I'm not really expecting nothing, but I'm still trying to be very thorough and about it. So, and then I'm in a daze because I just woke up out of like 4 or 5 hours of sleep. So this was like 3:30 in the morning. And we go through the motions, check. I'm checking everything under the bed, like in the closets, like everywhere. And then, finally nothing happens. And then, it takes forever. By the way, if you have Vivint as your security company, dump them because they suck, bro. They are terrible. So not the people, but like their tech.
Are you just locked in? Is that why you can't get rid of it?
Yeah, exactly. That's the other thing. They got you by the balls. So for me, it's like, I'll get to it eventually. Anyhow, so it takes like 10 minutes for somebody to show up because the alarm trips. So somebody's supposed to call you.
Automatic? Somebody's going to show up or call?
No. Sorry, show up on the panel to like talk to you.
Oh, okay.
So it took like 10 minutes, and that's not how it's supposed to go. It's supposed to be like
you're dead in 10 minutes.
Yeah. So I'm waiting for it. So I'm trying not to go upstairs because I know I'm gonna have to come back down. I'm trying to settle down so I could go back to sleep. So I go up because it took forever. So I'm like, all right, maybe they'll call me on my cell phone. Whatever. You start to hear the panel like somebody's dialing, like they're about to call you. And I go back down. That doesn't work for some reason. Then finally they call me on my phone. And I'm like, yeah, everything's fine. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. Then I go back to bed. So it's now past 4:00 in the morning. Bro, I never fell back asleep. So I was up for, I can't even tell you how many hours before I said, screw it. I got up at like 5:30 and then just went and read a book and like try to like ease myself into the day, knowing full well I'm hitting a brick wall at like 2:00 if I can get to that point. So, and that, of course, like that brain fog throughout that day just continued to like create scenarios. And I'm over here trying to keep my sanity because now it's easy for me to snap on my kids if they come even slightly off base from school. Okay. So I'm already like, all right, I got to chill, take it easy. Like you control what you can control. Like, don't even worry about it. So I pat myself on the back because I did go through the rest of the day without flipping, but toward the end, I almost flipped on my oldest daughter, and then I had to say, yo, I'm sorry, look, I'm exhausted. I can't right now. And then I kind of erased what could have been something worse. But yo, what a series of events yesterday in my like what felt like a whole day, and I'm still kind of like trying to get it all back because I got a full night's worth of rest, but I still had some anxiety in the middle of the night.
So this was the night before last, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Doesn't
those are
doesn't
terrible.
it suck when you overreact?
Bro. But then,
Yeah.
like, you almost have to, right? In those circumstances, because, like,
How long
it,
does it usually take for you guys to not feel guilty about overreacting with your kids?
oh, I'm sorry. I thought you meant about the security alarm
No,
thing.
no, no. I'm talking about just the like when those
Oh,
type of like when things build up and then the kids do something and then it's an overreaction, not necessarily based on what they do, but just
you.
yeah.
I mean, I'm getting better at it, but it does take me a bit.
That's a terrible feeling.
Yeah.
I feel guilty pretty much immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then I'm again, I'm better at it, but I'm still struggling with like quickly trying to repair the damage or account for it, right?
The worst is is when it happens at night and then you gotta
Oh,
sleep through the night feeling you know what I mean? And then you still
Nah,
wake up feeling fucked up like
I try not to
go to
finish the
bed.
night that way, you know. And the mornings, I don't like starting their mornings with arguments before they go to school, and I don't like going to sleep where we argue.
Well, I mean, I mean, even if you straighten it out right before you go to sleep, but at least for me, I still hold on to the feeling of like, damn, I fucked up, and like, you feel bad, you
But
know?
damn,
So,
how bad do you get?
K-
uh,
KV motherfucker in her. You little motherfucker.
prefer not to just bring that up right now.
Wait, did something happen recently, or it just happened to be this topic that brought back the memories?
No, something happened recently, but I'm not
Oh,
going to talk
okay.
about that.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. No incrimination on
Yeah,
the Fatherhoods podcast.
yeah, yeah.
But
But let's just say that I went.
I
Let's just say I went to bed feeling that guilt of like overreaction and even though shit was squashed, but man, I hated just that feeling through the night, waking up, and then in the morning, you just feel that like, fuck, man,
Mhm.
could have done better.
think like for me personally, I always try to remember, I hate when I overreact thinking like scolding them for something that you expect like an adult to understand. And it's like that's where it's like you got to be like, no, man, they're children, they don't understand. The way they comprehend things, the way that they think things through isn't the same.
Yeah,
And you can't, and on top of that, personalities, everybody's a different personality on top of that. So that's what makes me feel guilty where I try not to overreact, and if I do, I instantly feel terrible about it and try to fix it.
yeah, I think you've hit the point, especially with remembering that they're kids, and I think especially with my son because he's I don't know if has to do with being an only child, but he's just around adults a lot. And so it's almost like I know
Take
he's a
for
kid,
granted.
but at the same time, I treat him as an adult to an extent in terms of conversation. And you know what I mean? He just knows how to flow that way. So yeah, so sometimes I forget that it's like, man, he's
Yeah.
just young,
Yeah.
So
And not giving him enough credit for him keeping up.
yeah,
He's the one doing the work, really.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And he's probably also faking a lot of that, being able to have that conversation. Sometimes, like, the kids will say something, then I'm like, wow, like, this is really intelligent, really mature. And I'm like, do you know what that means? They're like, no. They're just mimicking, they're
Right.
Yeah.
mimicking things. And that's what we got to be careful. We might mistake mimicking for that they actually know better or is it as intelligent. Not to say they're not intelligent, but mature. Is the better
Yeah.
Yeah, the
word.
maturity.
Beyond their
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something again, this I'm saying it like it happens all the time, like me remembering to do this, but I find because my son is, I find myself having similar situations with my son to the one you're alluding to. Okay, and when I expect him to know something because I'm already accustomed to him being so sharp about most things, and it happens that he doesn't, and I get aggravated. I find myself, at some point, not immediately, but at some point, like trying to smooth that out, but then also like giving him props. Like, yo, I shouldn't expect you to know what I know. But because our relationship, in our relationship, you've shown me that you can keep up with a lot of things that I don't expect you to. I forget that you are 11 years old. and it's not that expectation I shouldn't have on you, but because you're so bright and yada yada, and then it helps to give it gives him confidence, even though we just went through some foul shit.
All right.
You're probably having similar conversations with your
Hmm.
son.
Yeah.
Do you find it to be the same? Like he kind of it almost helps to balance out the shitty feeling for him in a way.
Yeah, I think it's all yeah, it's also just like the reminder of, even if we're talking about something and something went left, it's really like what am I trying to say here? You still got to pump them up,
Yeah,
as opposed to just like everything
beat them
is
down.
nah, this wasn't right, or you did this wrong or whatever, but and then remembering in the grand scheme, like, yo, this is the shit that that you're doing wrong. Like, look at all the stuff you're doing right, because I never want the focus to be like
On the bad shit.
just drilling down all the time. Yeah.
I was talking to my wife about that the other day, just for my own sake, because I think it's just human nature. You tend to focus on the things that you're not doing well or that screwed up or whatever, and you forget about the positives. So I told her I was like, and I don't do like resolutions or none of that, but I try to change my mindset when I know I'm going down a bad path. So I told her, I was like, yo, I'm trying to commit to every day writing down just the good things that either I accomplished or that happened or whatever, and not give too much focus on the bad stuff. Because by default, you're going to gravitate toward things that didn't work out
Yeah, it's easier to do that.
that easy. So in the same vein, like trying to do that with your kids is paramount. So, yeah, but it's always easier said than done.
Yeah, and I think we also deal. I mean, I deal with being conflicted when you do like scold your kids or react, where internally on my own I'm like, yeah, well, don't feel bad because back in the days that's we don't want to raise no punk ass kid, like you deal with that internal conflict of you don't want to raise some weak minded kids and how they used to kids used to be raised. But then I guess if we go historic, I mean, there was a purpose to fast tracking the maturity and raising kids in harsh ways because times were maybe harsher. Maybe not going back to our generation, but even further back, I guess, where our parents and grandparents kind of came from.
Yeah. I'm gonna switch something right now. It's you'll see why it's related, but because you just mentioned like harsh times and families trying to have the kids adapt to those situations to try to for survival at the end of the day, right? And so you have to mature more quickly in those situations. But when was the last time you guys cried?
Me individually, like
Yeah,
myself,
you both, all of us will share, but
Wait,
like
didn't you ask us this before?
I'm sure I have, but it's been a while.
he just wants us to cry all the time.
Cry and have
Um,
more babies.
I mean, to me, I don't know if there's a difference. Like I consider crying like a full blow cry, and then there's
Yeah,
getting teary and
teary
emotional
eyed.
and be able to kind of control that. Like I was watching I could if I think about my kids in any capacity, like I could focus on something and I could get emotional about it thinking about my kids. And we were watching oh what was it, man? It was an episode. Oh, we were watching Elemental. You guys seen that movie?
Yeah,
No.
but you should check it
It's a
out.
pretty cool Disney movie. I think you'd appreciate it, and you could tell that they try to tackle like it feels a lot like the Gaza
Oh,
Israel,
okay. Okay.
like before the things popped off, but like kind of like the status quo what was happening there. It feels a lot like that, but at the end of the movie when the daughter when she's gonna leave, you know, where where they're at, like leave the family and go off with her dude and start living life. She like stops to look at her parents, and then it seems like she's not gonna go. But then what she does is she like honors her parents. Like she does this thing that's like in her tradition where she bows down to them. And I just I immediately thought of my kids were watching it. I immediately thought of fast forwarding, which I know life is so fast, and my kids being that age and like leaving, the house. And I got definitely got emotional. And my kids have a weird thing about crying, which my daughter is really the leader in, where because my wife tends to get emotional pretty easy and have a good tear from time to time, a lot easier than me for sure. And my daughter's always like, "Are you crying?" And she's like, kind of like hardcore about it, like,
Right.
"Are you crying? Stop crying."
checking you.
Yeah. Are you crying? Is that gonna make you cry? Like, and so they both were surprised because they don't see me cry much, and they saw like a couple tears drop, and they were like, "Yo, Dad, you crying?" Like,
Oh, it's my dry eyes.
Yeah, that's the
and
same kind of reaction my son has too.
I
Yeah.
mean, shit, you crying? I can't imagine. He must be like, "What?" Looking outside, seeing if there's two moons.
Do you remember the last time you shed a tear? Okay.
Yeah, I think it was some months ago, maybe middle of last
The
year.
90s.
Yeah.
Yo, when we lost the
When
golden era, yo.
um, yeah, one of our cats got real sick, and we thought he was a goner, and then so everyone was getting, and my son was getting especially upset, and so then that triggers me when I see him.
not
So
not the not the pussy being sick, but your son being emotional for the
nah,
cat.
both,
Oh, okay.
both.
I was
But
gonna
but it
say
ramped.
if you
But
crying over pussy, that shit,
there you go. You know
Yo, hey, yo.
what I mean?
uh,
But
Not
yeah,
me.
definitely when the whole room is getting upset, that's harder for me
The
to
domino effect.
yeah, for sure.
so I bring it up because so I had like a few minutes. I had lunch right before we jumped on, and while I was eating, I was watching this movie that one of my friends recommended, and it's about Giannis Antetokounmpo. He's an NBA player. If you're not familiar, it's a new movie that came out. It's called Giannis: The Marvelous Journey. So quick, like a background, just in case you're not familiar. So he's an immigrant. He was born and raised in Greece. His family migrated. His parents migrated from Africa to Greece in search of a better life. Had their kids in Greece, and they grew up. And the culture in Greece is very combative for anybody that's outside of Greece. That's not
Right.
Greek, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Especially if you're not of the same complexion. So
Right.
I'm like 5 minutes in, literally like the intro of the film is just about to finish. And yo, I already start to feel the waterworks. My right eye's leaking, and I'm like, I do have dry eyes in that eye. But then I'm like, nah, what I'm feeling in here connected to that. And so it just started to, get misty eyed.
Thinking about that alarm system.
That was that lack of sleep cry,
Yeah, hell yeah.
insomnia
Nah,
cry.
if it was yesterday, I would 100% be like, yo, I'm just tired, bro.
Right.
Like a cranky kid, right? No, but and what you said, was similar in how I thought about it. So I was like, so I'm already like feeling these emotions. And I'm like, all right, I gotta stop because I gotta go get on calls and all this shit. I can't show up like cry face, right? And then but then I thought about it. I'm like, yo, my kids, if they saw me crying, they would check the shit out of me. So then my ego starts to get in the way. I'm like, nah, I can't. But then I was like, nah, I think I'm gonna watch it with my kids because they'll appreciate that story from what it looks like it's building up to. And if I happen to cry, like, fuck it, I'll just eat it and then we'll have a conversation about it. But it's not something that I don't think I've had happen in their presence. But it oftentimes for me, as far as more recently, sport, like really impactful sports stories, get me every time, bro.
Like pickleball.
Yeah.
Yo, son, those shits are harsh, man.
Yo, them balls be wow.
It's the
Nah.
worst name ever for a sport.
They might as well call it tickle ball. Tickle balls.
All right.
Sorry, crybaby.
There he is.
Where?
Oh man.
I think we're as men we're just wired to try not to cry.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but honestly, no, don't cry now, bro.
Oh, you made me, bro. You made me laugh
But
cry.
I personally I really I like a good cry, man. Like it feels good. But you just feel hella vulnerable. So you're like, where do I do this? And it's like you don't. There's as a man, it's never a good time.
Yeah.
Like
I
the
find like in the shower.
oh my
I've,
god, come on, guy. This guy wants to camouflage his tears. Like, yeah, I'm not crying. It's the shower.
that's probably it has something
He
to do
wants
with
to
it.
cry
Probably.
butt booty naked, man, with a loafa in his hand.
Yeah, that's the most vulnerable cry, bro. You butt ass naked. Come on, son.
I like it in the car with like music. I could put a track, and I know if I just think about certain things and put this track on, that's the power of art to me. It could ignite emotion, and sometimes I'll do it on purpose, but then I'll be like, nah, I'm not gonna let myself go all the way.
What's the song? What's like one song that's like the trigger?
I mean, there's no well,
Me so
there's these.
horny.
Yeah, that's exactly the one. Yeah, actually, it's a Guns N' Roses song. November Rain can do it if I
I don't know
really.
that one.
And it's not, and it isn't always the lyric of the song at all because the lyric will be talking about something else. It's just the whole feeling of the song, like the composition of the whole song. And November Rain from Guns N' Roses is a good one, and they have another one called Patience that is really good too.
I wonder what's about. I wonder what it is in those in certain tones of songs that trigger that in people.
Yeah, yeah. I mean. It just something usually hits in those songs. Like what was like one a hip? I was saying that hip hop probably there's not too many songs, but actually the one that used to do it for me and probably still could is Naughty by Nature. All right,
I'm
Everything is
blanking on
gonna
that one.
be all right.
Oh yeah,
yeah. No, you did the wrong version of that.
yeah.
We all right.
Yeah, that's the country remix. What do you mean?
And then my wife clowns me because that, and I sent it to you guys. That dude Dax, who did the one about men, that song. I'd send it
I
to you guys.
don't remember.
He's like a
He's the
country hip hop artist type kind of.
Canadian dude.
I don't know if he's Canadian, but he did
Uh,
a remix of this a song. I guess he already had popping with the dude from Hootie and the Blowfish,
Oh, okay, that rings a bell.
and it's about like just being a man and a father and like the struggles. It's kind of exactly what we're talking about, like emotions
yeah.
and holding on to things and I could put that song on and man, that could because it like straight to the point.
Mm.
As a man, like you're like, damn, yeah, like I gotta let go, let it. No, I don't want to. And
That's what you. That's the conversation you're having before the tears start. No, but
yo,
yeah, but no.
yo, so much so I would like he would post the song like he was doing like a bunch of posts about it. He's still posting about it,
So
and
is it the lyrics for you? For me, it's usually the the tone, something, the sounds,
no,
something
it's
in the
usually
music.
not the lyrics
Yeah.
because the lyrics will have like I told you guys a story that one time I told my mom I dedicate Dear Mama to you, and she's like I'm not a fucking crackhead, like like she got pissed, and I'm like no man, it's not the specifics of it, it's the intent of the song overall about the mom, like not every word in the lyric is gonna reign truth,
Right.
but it's either usually the song, just like the composition of the song, like the feel of the music itself, not the lyric. But if the lyric and the music can hit together, oh, that's forget about it. That's a tearjerker. Like the waterworks for sure. Niagara Falls styles. You know what I mean?
The one for me. The one that gets me every time is Mama, a song for Mama by Boys to Men.
Oh, okay. Didn't sound right the way you were saying it.
No, see, there you went. There you went. Mama, Mama.
Oh man, I was gonna say something totally off the
Don't
cuff. No, I won't.
don't ruin it anymore.
It was gonna include R. Kelly.
Oh, jeez.
um,
All right. Thanks for listening, everyone.
before we get out of here, can I bring up a story that I need to see if you guys had this
Sure.
issue?
Yeah.
And I did not think I was gonna hear my daughter at this age bust out with this shit. But she was in a dance camp for a couple days during the winter break, and there was a mixture of some older kids, older meaning like just a couple years older, but in that age, a couple years is a lot. And she comes back and she says, "Oh, we did Bloody Mary in today," and I was like, "What?"
Whoa.
Like
Well,
you guys are familiar with Bloody Mary,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That whole
Bloody
little
Mary.
ritual.
A satanic sort of
I
ritual.
mean, you're taking it
Yeah.
a little far, satanic.
I
I mean, I
mean,
guess, but I mean, I don't. It's just some stupid thing that kids do. But I remember doing it in Catholic school in LA. What it is you go in the bathroom. You're supposed to be in front of a mirror. Turn off the lights. You're supposed to say Bloody Mary. It's kind of like the Freddy
nice.
Krueger thing or Beetlejuice. Like you say that.
Yeah, I've heard it, but not that name, but some other like some of those same kind
Yeah,
of
I
thing. Yeah,
mean, shows you how it spanned generations because I did this as a kid in LA.
yeah.
And she's like, you say the name, and then she's supposed to appear in the mirror, and then like supposed to like do damage. And she says that she busted out with that they did. I was like, where were the the adults? Like, where were you? What room were you in? She's like, oh, we were in the pink room. There's a couple different rooms in the ballet camp in the school, and they were in one of the smaller rooms, I guess, for a moment, and it's all full of mirrors, and I guess they turned off the lights and they did it, and I was like, yo, and I was trying not to overreact because I don't know what that's gonna do also, but I was like, and she's like, oh, but Bloody Mary didn't show up, and so it's okay. And I'm like, nah, and I go, look, that's fake. I just want you to know that's fake. She goes, so ghosts aren't real? And then I'm like, I don't know. I go, look, and she's like, ghosts aren't real, right, Dad? And I'm like, damn, I don't know how to answer that question. So I said, look, I don't know if ghosts are real. I'm gonna just tell you honestly, I've never seen a ghost, so I don't know if they're real. And if they are real, there's probably good and bad ghosts. Um, so ask your mom if she's seen ghosts. and
Let your
then
mother deal with this shit.
then the next day she said they did it again, which I was a little pissed because I told her not
Okay.
to do it.
Yeah.
And then she busts out with a drawing, first day of school, of uh, a headstone. Is that what it's called? The
Yeah.
headstone?
Uh-huh.
Headstone. The headstone in a cemetery with these like figures around it, like
Oh,
look
jeez.
like kids, and then a ghost, like the typical ghost
Shit.
drawing, and then red all over their faces and red on the ghost coming off the lips. And I'm like, I said, did someone kill these kids? And she's like, no, they're zombies. And she
Oh
goes,
man.
but they're nice zombies, Dad. And I'm like, oh hell no.
Shit.
And again, I try not to make too much of it because she was
Yeah.
like looking at me, and I was like, Mama, like this is not. Come on, Hello Kitty, not
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Has she seen the zombies series on Disney?
No,
Oh, okay.
but she's seen a couple zombie-ish YouTube kids things, and
Okay.
Halloween, and she
Right.
used to be really into Halloween and like watching like certain things with me, and then as she got a little older, she started getting a little bit more scared and didn't want to watch it, and said she doesn't like Halloween. But I don't know. You guys ever encountered that at around those ages, around these ages that she is? She's 6, which I think
See,
is way too soon. I think that's around the age though that it happened with me too, though. To be honest with you,
Not on my end, no.
my youngest, I feel like all of my kids have seen. I might have even said this before.
seeing
All of-
ghosts.
Yeah,
Oh, you've told us before. Yeah.
yeah.
Don't tell my daughter though.
Specifically my wife's mom who passed.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think she hangs out with us.
Hmm.
Like
Right.
I've never seen a ghost, but in some instances I felt like energy in the room. Always positive. And my aunt, she's a psychic, I guess you could say. Like she reads tarot cards to people, like, and she'd be telling people like what's about to happen. She's never done it for me, but whenever she comes to my house, she's like she calls things out that
Hmm.
that she should know. Put it like that. And it's always like energy centric, and she's always like, yo, there is a calm and a peace in this house that I don't come across very often. Like whatever you guys are doing, you're doing a really good job. I'm like, good. Because if the shit was the other way, I would be like,
Right.
fuck. But my youngest two for sure have mentioned it. And my youngest now, she
Mentioned seeing a ghost, not Bloody Mary stuff.
yeah. My youngest the other day told my wife that she saw the devil in her room.
Oh my Jesus Christ.
I was like, I haven't talked to her about it because she was kind of like freaked, and my wife just handled it. So I don't want to like re resurface any of that. But yeah, like, and she couldn't really describe it, but she felt something evil, I guess.
Hmm.
And my wife's, because my youngest, she suffers from like short temper, like getting really frustrated all the time, and like she tends to have, she's the one with like the biggest mood swings.
All right.
So we're always trying to help her, like, yo, like anxiety plays a role in feeling like that and all these things. And then my wife is trying to tie what she thinks she's seeing to like her
Feelings.
lack of, yeah, like her not being able to really get a hold of her emotions as best she can, right? She's 8. So yeah, but that happened recently, and I was like, fuck. But my aunt always tells me that shit is cool in here, so I'm not really tripping.
How about UK?
My son drawing pictures of headstones? Or is that what you're asking?
Tombstones was the word I was looking for.
Tombstone? Or um nah, he's not too interested in
The occult?
that kind of stuff too much. Although he has said in the past of just like when we've talked about, people passing and things like that, he's like, Dad, whenever it is you pass and you come if you're gonna come back as a ghost to like hang out with me or see me, just don't scare me. He's like just try to show up and
That's
so
practical.
so so I know that it's you're there, but it's not gonna freak me out.
Yeah,
That's
I said
that.
that when my grandfather passed. I said that out loud to my grandma. I was like, please, if you're gonna show up, just don't freak me out.
Yeah, my mother's like that. Any of her dearly departed, like at the funeral, that's what she says too. Like, yo, don't fuck with me with this shit.
Yeah.
But okay, it's cool that you can have like, that's a morbid conversation. The fact that he's even able to like talk to you about that shit like that, I think is dope. Because my son, my son's the one that fears losing us the most. Like he's said it. Like my biggest fear is being alone, and to him, alone
Yeah.
is like not having his parents.
Yeah, it's a scary thought for kids.
I mean, shit is
Um,
scary for me.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's scary for me as well.
Yeah.
I worry about my mortality just for the kids. Like
Yeah.
my whole thing is just please until they're grown and self-sufficient, then if I gotta go, I gotta go.
Yeah, I had a little bit of a scare the other day, like because once you cross 40, like heart attacks and shit are very common for guys, and I mean, I
Is it
feel like
40? Yeah.
yeah, after
Hmm.
This
40.
guy, this guy's throwing 40 in our face. I'm about to be 50 this year.
Now I'm saying we're all past 40, so it tends to be more common, and every year I hear more guys within my age range, dying from it. Most recent 2 weeks ago, there was a guy that I didn't know, but he went to my university, to UMass, and he was attached to the basketball program, and he passed. I think it was like 47,
Hmm.
Jeez.
and he was in great shape. Like it's there's no rhyme or reason. And my wife, she's a cardiac ultrasound tech, so she's studying people's hearts all the time, and she was telling me, I guess she was looking at like a year's worth of data recently, and she realized that the age range has dropped for the patients that she sees. They used to be much older. The average age is now shrinking. So it's
Wonder what
getting,
the cause of that is.
I don't know, man.
Hmm.
Is there anything preventive that in doing those ultrasounds that you could do?
Preventative, you mean like having those scans and then
Yeah, because I've been thinking about that recently. Like, because I've been having like this like sensation in my chest, but it doesn't hurt. It's just a sensation, and I'm like, man, I don't
yo,
know.
it's I mean, they don't like the health insurance companies may not cover it because they expect you to go through certain jump through certain hoops before you can be cleared to have some of those exams. But yo, if you have the means, I say go for it because my wife was able to do one of those for me, and she found out that I don't know what the proper medical term is, but I have essentially what's considered a regurgitating heart, which basically means there's some gap inside of the heart, which is relatively common for what she said, but it looks like it's throwing up. So like it's throwing up blood essentially.
You have a
The
gag
blood's
reflex
pumping.
in your heart.
I guess, yeah. So when she said it in whatever medical term it
Yeah.
was, and I'm freaking the fuck out. I'm like, "What do you mean? How do we do? What do we do? How do I fix it?" And she's like, "No, it's fine. It's common." And I'm like, "You can't say shit like that, and then expect me to just, fall back."
What's the name of the? If you could afterwards text me what it's called, the scan, and
It's
what kind of doctor or department I'm supposed to reach out to get it.
got it. I mean, it's a cardiologist, but I'll tell you the specific like heart exam.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just take an aspirin a day, you'll be all right.
So
You,
that is
they
important.
said, but they said that's not true now.
My wife lives by it.
Really?
Really?
Yeah. And she works with cardiologists all the time. Like this is her gig.
Man, I heard a lot about that kind of saying that whole aspirin thing is actually not even true and actually not good for you.
So what I was going was I said I had a scare. So that sensation you're talking about, I've had it like in the region where your heart is. And I had one
What's the region? Because I'm always
left,
confused.
you're like basically your left pec behind you.
Yeah, yeah. Right here.
So I had that sensation. And it was like the sensation, but it was also like a rushing gas pain. Like very quick, right? But it was enough to kind of, it was like a jolt. I was like, yo, what the fuck? And I kind of even went like, like, I groaned out loud. And my kids were around. My wife was there. Everybody was like, yo, what's going on? and, it subsided really quickly. But then I went and I grabbed my children's aspirin. So that's really all you need. You don't need anything crazy. And I got that, and I was like, "Yo, just in case," because I don't know. But it's happened to me more often than I can remember in the last like 3 or 4 years.
Huh.
Yeah, that's the same here in the last like year or two. I've been feeling that. So you saying a children's aspirin, what does that do? Thin your blood or something?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it thins out the blood, and it does it enough. Like you don't need like 4 Advils or whatever, right? Just like a children's aspirin, whatever the recommended dosage is for a child, you take that, and you should be good. And by the way, for all you listening, we are not doctors.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
This is not medical advice. This is just lived experiences and our opinions.
We just know witch doctors.
The witch kind.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, man, it's scary. Scary shit.
Yeah, man. All right. Well, let's
All
stay
right,
alive, guys.
Yep.
Let's try to stay alive. And come back next week and talk more about the success.
If we don't, next week be here as a ghost, yo.
All right.
Just kidding.
I'll show up for you if that day comes, bro. Don't worry.
All right.
All
No,
right,
you gotta
y'all.
have my screen with the silhouette.
No doubt.
All right, fellas.
All right,
Later,
bro.
man.
Peace.